Well, good day, everyone. This is Dr. Bill Williams. We have a new topic on the Influencers podcast today. Today, we're talking about victory with Ash. What's coming up in the near future? I wanted to share with you something that I learned just the other day. Getting ready for victory with Ash means we're going on to a new platform, a bridge to the new company. And as we may expect to have something educational opportunity wise on Victory with Ash, I started looking around the internet for things that might be state of the art, things that are right there, right at the tip of the sword for what we could do as a group to learn more about how to be better at our positions, at our job, at our situation in Victory with Ash. So as I was looking around the internet, I found a few courses and went through the courses and learned what was the salient points of each product. I'm thinking outside the box here. I'm thinking, what could Ash be doing that we could learn from him with his team to prepare us for the new company? And so I thought I'd bring to you some of my thoughts about what might be available. And you might enjoy seeing some of the things that are being developed outside in the real world right now that are already available. And I'm sure with Ash's insights that he's going to be implementing many of these things, we hope, into our training, our new situation on Victory with Ash platform. So without further ado, let me go into a little bit of a presentation mode here. I want to show you exactly what I found was interesting to me. So we started off with what's new in AI training tools. As I perused the internet, I found several different tools available from various vendors. None of these are part of Victory with Ash at this point that I know of. This is all generic things that are off the internet. But let's look at the first couple of things that might be interesting. What might be employed in Victory with Ash? What kind of chatbots, what kind of deep learning and machine learning could be involved? Where could we be headed? So this is just like a brainstorming session that I went through to see what's available and what might we expect. This is to get your mind unstuck from where you were to. You might think, I can't do any of this. I don't know anything. So this is kind of like a teaser to teach you what you might learn in the future on Victory with Ash. So the whole goal here is to make things stick in your mind so that you can remember things to do when you get into the heat of battle. You know, the training ground itself. You have to get the information down. You have to assimilate it. You have to then apply that information. And when we're talking about gathering a group together, a team, Ash's team, the people that are being selected right now, you might call them sales agents. You might call them lead managers. You might call them priority members. But let's think about them as a group. And how does Ash get together this first group to bring them together and keep them together to move forward as a unified whole? So look at this picture here, and it says, understanding the agent life cycle. An agent would be like a sales agent, not like an AI agent. We're talking about a human person here, an agent for a company. So we might be agents for the company, and we would want to be unified and stick together. We want to avoid what's called churn. Churn is when you turn over your people that work with you, your team, your employees, your sales team. You want to avoid the churn. You want people to be loyal. And so to do that, you have to ramp up. You have to get the new agents on board and ramp them up to teach them how to perform, to set targets and achieve so that they become experienced. And with experience and performance comes rewards. So we have to optimize the performance to gain the rewards. Nobody's going to stick around any company unless they're rewarded. They've got to be paid. They've got to be given their performance enhancement, their reviews, their recognition, you might say. And finally, they've got to have progression into higher levels. And so you might think of the last 7 years as not a waste. A lot of people have progressed up this life cycle. When you started out in the old company, maybe you didn't have a lot of skills, but you got online, you talked to people, you learned how to run seminars, webinars, make a YouTube channel, you learned to do some public speaking. So these things could have been your ongoing ramping up to where you are today, to what you could experience as somebody in Victory with Ash, particularly if you're going to be chosen to be one of the priority members who essentially would be, maybe I'm expecting like managers of a group of people, a circle. And so you have a little bit of a managerial role, not just a sales role. So those are the things that I'm looking at when I'm trying to understand the agent life cycle. And we're going to tie that all into the use of artificial intelligence, AI tools, AI bots, AI training. Let's look a little bit about what is the structure of what we're going to talk about today. Anatomy of team building success. That means that you're looking at team building in a structured way to first figure out how many people and what kind of recruiting process you go through. Once you recruited people or gain a network of people to talk to, then you've got to go through a hiring process, a selection process to choose the ones that are right for your team. And once you've chosen the people that are right for the team, you've got to onboard them, bring them up to speed. They've got to learn what the culture of the company, the information about the company is all about. And finally, you've got to put them into the workspace to interface with the customer. What are they selling? What's their product? They have to be coached up by the management to do the job that they're supposed to do. To be coached is to be trained to do well. If somebody doesn't receive coaching, they're not going to stick. So, loyalty and stickiness to a company has a lot to do with the management and the coaching, the culture. So as we go along, let's look at the recruiting itself. Typically, if you're recruiting somebody for a company, particularly in sales commissions jobs, but in any kind of company, it takes a lot of applicants, maybe 100 applicants to find the ones you want for your company. So we've got, say, 100 to start with, and we have to winnow out and find the ones that are the best, separate the wheat from the chaff. And the thing is, 80-20 rule is about right. So you might find 20 potentially qualified people out of 100 that apply for a position. And you don't have an opening for 20 maybe right now, but you want to vet 5 of them to get the best 5. And so you go through a process of starting to look deeper into their qualifications and start to ask them more serious questions, look at what they've done in the past. And finally, you get down to the point where you find the ones that are the very best applicants, and maybe you do your one-on-ones. You select 1 or 2 to join your team in a typical company. And maybe if you're building a big company like Ash, you'll take $1 million, you'll find 100,000, and you'll find 200,000 that were maybe qualified, but you're only vetting to maybe have 1,000 leaders. Maybe you're going to have 200 leaders. Some number is going to show up at the bottom, and that maybe is what's happening with the prioritization right now in Victory with Ash. He's recruiting people through his known process. Okay, so say you've got your people, you've decided you want to put on your team. The hiring process itself goes through a series of steps. And before I talked about a generic hiring process. Right now, though, this is something that is being done in the industry. I've been a part of the lead generation industry for about 3 or 4 years now, as I have processed parallel to being a dentist, to working in the old company, to working in my nutrition business. So I've done a lot of things simultaneously over the years. One of them was lead generation. And one thing that we are very aware of now is that lead generation is driven by AI. AI does 90% of the work in lead generation to get people in front of products. Now, there's a lot of human elements that are still involved, but lead generation has been really honed to where you can get thousands of eyes on products with very little human interaction. In the same way, if you're hiring people for a company, the appointment setting is not always done by humans any longer. Appointment setting can be done automatically with an AI bot, and it can make contacts initially through the lead generation systems, and then it can connect to the calendar, which can put that appointment on your calendar automatically, and they show up. So I ran my influencer podcast for a year and a half, where I had lead generation done for me. I had appointment setting done for me, and I had nothing to do with either one of those processes, but they happen, and much of it was done a combination of human and AI together, hybrid model. There's a screening system you can have in your AI to go through and look at the resumes. You can go through and screen everything in LinkedIn, for instance, and you can screen out or build your database for people that you want to talk to for either sales or for hiring. You finally get down to what's really the nitty gritty of hiring and creating a team, and that's the group presentation. You might do a live presentation online or in a ballroom in a hotel, or you might have a recorded message that's like one presentation you do live, and then you record it for the future, and people can be going through the group presentation, because in that situation, you've got to learn, the people in the audience have to learn the group culture. They have to see if they're a fit. They have to see if they belong. It's better if you do it in person, of course, because if you're not in person, you can't see live what's going on with each person in the group. So a group presentation is better live, second best online, and third best, of course, recorded, be the least productive. Finally, though, you get down to your one-on-one interviews. If you're going to hire somebody or bring them in for a position, they're going to be best interviewed one-on-one. And over 50 years of being a dentist, I must have interviewed thousands of people to find the right people for the office manager position, the front desk positions, the dental assistant, the dental hygienist, and even the dentist. I had to interview, maybe 50 dentists over the period of 50 years to find the right associate dentists to bring in with me. And they would go through exhaustive testing before we would invite them into our practice. So it's important that the hiring process is done strictly in a regimented way, and AI has really helped a lot. And once somebody gets on the team, you hire them, you got to bring them up to speed. It's called onboarding. We used to have a 2-week period orientation session in our office, in dental office, for onboarding. And we had a manual, and we had a buddy system where they would go through with somebody to sit one-on-one with them and give them tasks to accomplish each day. So what we developed back then was very successful. We always had people trying to poach our employees because they were so well trained and they had so much skill. And we learned quickly that keeping employees is just as important as getting employees, keeping them for the long run. If you want to have long-term employees, you got to structure your learning process. And that's where AI teaching modules are coming in handy right now. It used to be just to give people a manual or a book. Now you can have interactive teaching modules, and they could structure their learning over a period of time. And it's important to have daily tasks for people to accomplish, particularly the first 2 weeks. They got to be busy, 7, 8 hours in those 2 weeks a day doing daily tasks that build their skills. There can be feedback from a person one-on-one, a buddy system, or you could have AI feedback and they're learning on the job without another person having to take their time to do it. And AI feedback is very valuable because it looks over the process of what that person's doing. It knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, what they aren't or are doing, and can give feedback about where they're falling short of daily tasks. And then that ramps up over 2 months, and your AI evaluations can be pretty in-depth as far as evaluating. And a manager can look at the reports from the AI and tell exactly how that employee or that team member is progressing up the scale. Ramping up is important because if your skills aren't going up and your results in sales or whatever else you're doing in the company are not going up, then your revenue generation and your take-home pay essentially is not going up. So you've got to have a ramping up of knowledge, a ramping up of income for people that stick to a company. Can't have no income, can't have no knowledge for people to stick with the company. One of the big advantages in the AI area that we found as we were looking, which I'll share a lot about that in the coming days, is the automated role playing with AI as a way to follow up on how the training is coming. Like you learn something in the daily task and structured learning, and then you got to apply it to the job. And a lot of people are very timid or not comfortable when they first meet the customer and they don't feel like they know the topic, right? And so automated role play allows you to talk to an AI bot, an agent, a person on the screen that's talking to you, giving you same scenarios as any other situation in a business. If you're selling video software, for instance, and you want to project it as a good product and all, once you know about the product, then you've got to talk to the client, the customer. How does it work? Why is it better? So you go through all these automated role plays, and you can sell anything to anybody when you have the knowledge and the confidence. If you know about the product, you can sell anything. And so that's what the automated role play does. It allows you to practice, fail, get critiqued, do it again, practice, fail, get critiqued. And you can go through this without personally falling on your face in front of a live person. You're doing it in front of a computer screen. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to make you feel bad because you didn't fail in front of somebody. Fear of being a failure is one of the biggest things. Public speaking and then failing in front of other people is one of the most fearful things for humans to do. So that's why sales is so difficult to begin when people don't feel comfortable with the material, and then they don't feel comfortable with their own self in front of people. Those two things go together to cause big failure. And so automated role play will get rid of that when you practice the same general spiel, talk, speech 50 times, 100 times with different nuances about how to answer the questions. Because you're not just speaking of a speech from start to finish, you're answering questions back and forth, interplaying with the AI bot. It's just like a real person, and you develop your skills on the fly as you go. So that's onboarding. What happens when you get to coaching? The level of coaching is when you've been turned loose to work with real customers, real clients. And so one of the beautiful things about AI that we see out there in the marketplace is multiple real live pitches are observed by the AI bots as you give them live on screen, and they observe, they remember, they calculate, they listen, they understand, and they give back suggestions. So this interactive live data that's going on in some of the programs you'll see, if you're on a screen, you'll be talking to the person on the screen, like on a Zoom call. And over on the side, there will be AI suggestions as they're speaking and the AI is listening. You might have 3 or 4 options based on your company's database about things you could mention to the person. And so it's like having a super memory sitting there, most pertinent thing to answer their question. If somebody asks about what's the price of something that you sell, it can pop up on the screen and it can have the features of that product right there on the screen. And it changes as the questions change from the client, person that you're trying to sell something to. Once you finish this conversation, that real live interview pitch with the client, then the coach AI evaluation can take place. It'll give you a summary of what you talked about. It'll catalog everything. It'll give you suggestions how you can improve. The feedback is invaluable. And so one of the things that we really are looking for in the new AI world of sales and management and team building and just company revenue enhancement is having the AI bot working alongside us as we go along. You know, there's nothing more powerful than you doing your one-on-one presentation with the client and then the AI listening and being like your second set of ears and eyes, and then your coach so that you can go over it. You don't lose anything. You don't have to take notes. Everything's recorded. Everything is analyzed, and you move forwards. So these are the things that are valuable in the future that we really want to focus on. Everything I said about recruitment and building a team also has a perfect analogy with the anatomy of a sales success system. So we're not going to go over sales today, but we're talking mostly about team building. But I wanted to mention that prospecting and qualification of the person so they can afford or, you know, need that product that you sell. Then your presentation about what it is, the features and benefits, your closing, you know, tying them down, getting the order in, and the follow-up if they don't buy yet. And even if they do buy, you got to follow up. Keep your sales success high for repeat business in the future by following up. So the anatomy of the sales success is also impacted greatly by AI bots, AI listening in and keeping records and keeping notes. You don't have to do near as much thinking and remembering nowadays with the AI bot being right there with you. It's like the Encyclopedia Britannica used to be sitting over on the shelf, and it was a lot of work to go over and open it and read. And then it became a little easier with Google. You could type something in and it'd pop up a website so you could read the website. But now with AI and deep learning, you basically have a set of ears and eyes going along with you. You don't have to go to the shelf for Britannica. You don't have to go to your keyboard for Google. You basically just turn it on and it works alongside you. It's like having a personal assistant working with you at all times. That's the analogy. Now, there's companies out there, Cresta is one I found, that helps during the agent life cycle. And we talked about ramping up. We talked about real-time AI coaching and the way you get assist as you go along, guided workflows. And it's like whisper in your ear, you hear or you see on the screen beside suggestions so that you'll know what to say to the person you're talking to in context. So it really does build your ability to be present better. You don't have to have so many time delays because the information is instantaneous right there beside you. Agent performance, it has a whole lot of efficiency tools and data boards, status boards, behavior reinforcement boards. And then agent progression has heat maps, performance insights, dashboards, coaching plans, everything that you have built into these platforms means that it's easy for you to see the overall picture at a glance. Your manager can see the overall picture at a glance. It's not something that you have to transmit information. You don't have to turn in reports so much. It's all done for you. Done for you, done with you. You know, those two elements are critical as we go along. You'll want to have more stuff done for you through AI and less that you have to do yourself. Reduces errors, reduces time element between getting things done. Now, here's an example. A telecommunications company was driving higher sales and conversion rates using AI as part of their team benefits. So this particular company was using prompts to assume that sales would be better if they could access information while they're talking to clients. And so their average was $3.69 when they don't use prompts. And 0.5% of the people said yes. But when you're talking about using the proper prompts that come from using AI, their increase was 250% more, 2.5 times more income from 369 to 997 for an upsell prompt. Just mentioning something went from 0.5% of people buying something to 3.3% of people buying something from this particular company with a telecommunications. And that's a huge jump. If you can move your sales from 0.5 to 3.3, when the average is 1%, in most cases, you triple what most people can do. That's huge. Everything that we can do with AI is going to benefit your bottom line. How much money you put in your pocket, how much profit the company has, from simulation and role playing on the platform to sales coaching and training. So many places that we can use these different tools. And in my imagination, Victory with Ash is going to employ many of these. I'm hoping to see them very soon in the future. And so I'm just kind of whet your appetite for what might show up. Virtual training, real world impact. So what if just looking at this Victory with Ash would increase productivity beyond your imagination? You know, this example of this company, 19% higher, 5 times more competence. Competence is a big matter. If you're going to sell something, you've got to have competence in the knowledge base. And when you've got this behavior management system where you go through the training and have daily tasks and you have feedback on everything you're doing, you're going to be very confident that what you present to the clients is very accurate. And finally, the return on investment is going to be huge. Whatever you put into your training, it's going to be worth it if you're a company. Ash just said this is not going to cost us anything to go through training with Victory with Ash. So that's even better for us. I know he's probably invested a lot in the training, putting it together. But for us, we're going to be 20 times better than we would have been without it. That's kind of the bottom line for Ash, is whatever he's developing the new company to be, we will be 20 times more able with the training to do whatever it's going to be. That's why Victory with Ash is an important step to go toward that bridge to the new company. Our completion rate will be higher. We won't drop as many balls because we'll be knowing what we're doing. The repetition rate, if you're going to learn something, you can't do it by listening once and hearing it once. You got to hear it multiple times. And so with AI training and bots and things that are capable of replaying the scenario with fresh new ideas, not just the same old video, watching it 16 times, 100 times, but going back and forth with a conversation with an AI bot, you're going to actually have the working knowledge to sell, talk, do anything. And the knowledge gap that you're going to have will be so small that you'll be able to really take on any question and answer it with authority, which turns into sales. If you're in sales, if you're, doing any kind of business, the more you know about a topic, the better you're going to do. So I'm pretty sure that we are in great shape with Victory with Ash. We're going to use some of these tools. I hope a lot of them. And when you find that it's time for us to move into the new company, we'll be ready. We'll have enough of us trained. We'll have enough of us ready to lead others. And before long, it'll be a very successful company with a big social impact. And we hope to change the culture of work, culture of the world. Just as Ash has said, we want to impact the world one person at a time. And this is a great way to start. So thanks for tuning in to the Influencers Podcast today. We'll do another one soon that will dig a little deeper into some of this AI technology, what's possible in the world today. And I'm certain that Ash will be bringing to us things that are as interesting and exciting or more so than what we share today. Thanks. It's Dr. Bill Williams saying, have a good weekend.